Vietnam's Communist Party on March 20 accepted President Vo Van Thuong's resignation, deepening the political uncertainty in a country where top officials have been ensnared in corruption crackdowns. According to Vietnamese media outlet VN Express, Mr. Thuong will also step down from his position as member of the Politburo, the highest body of the party, and member of the party's Central Committee. The committee said in a statement that Mr. Thuong had breached party regulations and his violations and flaws have negatively affected public perception, as well as the reputation of the party and the state. Vietnam's National Assembly is likely to name his replacement during an extraordinary session on March 21. The current vice president is Ms. Vo Thai On Chien. Mr. Thuong's resignation comes less than 2 years after his predecessor Nguyen Xuan Phuc stepped down in January 2023, ostensibly to take responsibility for top-level corruption that took place under his watch as prime minister during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Phuc had been president for just 21 months. That debacle had been preceded by the ousting of 2 deputy prime ministers, Mr. Pham Binh Minh and Mr. Vu Duc Dam, over inflated prices of COVID-19 test kits and bribes that Vietnamese were asked to pay in order to get on flights home during the pandemic. The presidential shakeup is taking place at the same time as the high-profile trial of Trung My Lan, the chairwoman of real estate developer Van Thin Phat Holdings Group, who is accused of masterminding a plot that siphoned off 304 trillion dong, 16.5 billion Singapore dollars, from Saigon Joint Stock Commercial Bank. Prosecutors on March 19 called for the death penalty to be handed to her. Mr. Thuong's resignation is believed to be linked to a bribery scandal involving Vietnamese real estate developer Phuc Son that occurred when he was party secretary of Quang Ngai province from 2011 to 2014. Dr. Nguyen Kok Jong, a visiting fellow at ISEAS Yusof Ishak Institute, called Mr. Thuong's resignation a very big shock to the Vietnamese political system, which normally is prized for its political stability. While the presidency is a largely ceremonial position, it is the second highest position in Vietnam's political hierarchy, where Party General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong sits at the apex. Mr. Trong, 79, who won an unprecedented third term in 2021, is the chief architect of the so-called blazing furnace crackdown on corruption. Mr. Thuong's departure will likely disrupt political succession plans, Dr. Jong told the Straits Times. At 53 years old, Mr. Thuong was the youngest member of the Politburo. He was seen as very close to Mr. Trong and a strong contender to take over the leadership position. His downfall, of course, will send shockwaves to many factions within the political system and probably indicate the fact that the anti-corruption campaign has no limits, said Dr. Jong. Analysts also expect Mr. Thuong's resignation to worsen the bureaucratic paralysis brought on by Vietnam's years-long crackdown on graft. Officials have been known to be wary of approving projects for fear of being investigated for irregularities. This has held up the issuance of licenses and other permits, hampering economic activity at a time when the country is trying to regain traction after the pandemic. In the first 9 months of 2023, for example, the disbursement of public investment reached only 51% of the planned amount, and the government urged officials to clear these bottlenecks in order to speed up economic growth. Although the party has released some regulations to protect bureaucrats who did something wrong unintentionally and relieve them of criminal responsibility, any rational person inside the system would potentially know that no one is safe, said Dr. Jong. This would worsen the bureaucratic paralysis and make it really hard for the government under Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh to reverse this trend, he added.